You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
So excited you can join me here today on this Friday review, where we have some amazing research to bring you on how you can use just 15 minutes of exercise to dramatically improve brain function and neural function, meaning like how well you perform certain tasks. So I want to bring you that. That's brand new research. I also want to talk about some of these genetic-based nutritional supplements coming out that I want to give you a little warning on, and why they might not be all they're hyped up to be. And then also talk about our super nutrient of the week, something that we've been using for quite some time in our practice for really calming inflammation in the body. It's a specific herb. It's not that well known. We use it for bone joint-based issues. So more like, let's talk about arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. So both osteo and autoimmune-based arthritis. And we also use it quite a bit in prostate inflammation, prostatitis. So can't wait to bring you that. That's a really powerful herb that I want you to be able to add to your functional medicine knowledge. But first, let's get started with what's new, what's been going on over the past week. And so excited to hear, I really am, all the feedback people have been giving us about our new Pro Stack shaker bottles. Of course, those are completely free over at equilibriumnutrition.com. But really, people are excited to do their next detox because they know that they can essentially take everything they need for the day, the 3 different servings, do their first shake at work or when they're on the road, maybe driving kids to school, whatever it might be. They've got another container set up or compartment in the shaker bottle set up for an 11 a.m., 11:30 a.m. shake. And then right after that at 3, plus it keeps all the capsules, all the pills together. And even if you're not doing the detox, this is something that we use quite a bit in our private practice so that people can keep everything all together. I'm telling you right now that getting healthy, that following the right nutrition plan, that taking your nutritional supplements, whatever you're doing to get your body healthier is to stay consistent. And the best way to stay consistent is just to do the same exact thing at the same exact time every day. I can't begin to tell you how much that has changed my life with everything from work and relationships and family and everything. It's just like I stick to a schedule. Now, on the weekends, it's kind of a free-for-all. But the Monday through Friday, I make sure that it's I wake up at this time, I do this. And you might say, well, that sounds so boring. But I'm telling you, it's not, because there's no stress to it. Like, that's the big thing. We're always so stressed out. We're stressed out because we're trying to beat the clock, or we're trying to do this, or we're trying to figure out how to fit everything in. My schedule looks like this rainbow color graph of all the different things, of different categories of what's going on the Monday through Friday. And the weekends are pretty much blank. That's my family time. So yours might look a little different, but I'm telling you, it's all about consistency. If you don't know the shaker bottles that I'm talking about, we'll get back on track. Just go to equilibriumnutrition.com. Check that out. All right, a couple things I'm really excited about bringing you over the next 2 weeks is this. People have been asking for me to get a little bit more, not in depth about Ayurveda, but really simplify Ayurveda to say, what body type am I? What dosha am I? And since I would say, this is no exaggeration, 9 out of 10 people, I was included in that, no doubt I was included in that, but 9 out of 10 people get their dosha or what's called their body type wrong the first time they take a quiz. And the reason is that the quizzes are not set up to actually help you figure it out, meaning they're more of a fun game. And what I want to do is I want to actually give you hey, is this what this looks like? Is this what your hairline looks like? Is this what your shape of the face looks like? So I'm going to give you all of that. I'll be teaching that starting in 2 weeks. Every single week, I will be trying to do a show on Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine for you. And I'll tell you exactly how to figure out your dosha and your body type. So excited about that. That's what our first show will be about, because that's where all the requests come in. Because remember, your requests are listened to every single week. We're listening to all of your requests, whether it be at Cabral Support Group or, wherever. On Instagram, that's a place that I love chatting with people. And again, last night we had, I would say somewhere around 80 different comments within an hour of posting. So that was a lot of fun. And again, I'm responding back to pretty much all of those. And it's actually me responding back. People are like, oh, someone responding back on your team. I'm like, no, that's actually me. So that's where I hang out. That's where I like to chat. I'm not actually able to do the direct messages or DMs. I've talked about that before, but right on the post, I do try to get back to people on those recent posts. Okay, the last thing before we get right into the research, because I want to respect your time, is our CBD oil, our organically grown CBD oil, #1 rated product. That's that Boston accent coming out again right there. I caught it. It will be back hopefully in 2 weeks. So I know how so many people have been, disappointed that we're not able to continue selling it. And I always want to let you know that it's not because we don't want to. It's because our processor literally shut us down from selling CBD oil because, it's this gray area of, is it a this, is it a that, and what it classified. It's completely insane since there's no psychoactive effects. It's not marijuana. It's not THC. And again, this goes for everybody. It's not just our company. And well, what's different about our company is we provide literally the certificate of authenticity, the certificate of analysis right on the website. Show anybody else who does that. I mean, you won't find anybody. Ours is very transparent. Ours is the purest CBD oil that you can get. And it's also 25 milligrams per serving, which is why people have tried a lot of other CBD oils and they haven't worked for them. One, the dosage is too small. The second is that it's not full spectrum cannabinoid. And the third is the processing. Ours is very, very clean. So anyway, I'm excited. Of course, I will announce that on a podcast, but hopefully that will be back in just 2 weeks. And you know that I will provide you with some type of special offer since I do feel bad that we had to literally take it off just overnight one night. And that was it. And it's been gone now for about a month. So I will be back. I will update you on all of those things. And now let's get into the research this week. So one piece of research that I couldn't wait to bring it to you when I read it. This came out just July 11th. So how long ago? Yesterday. That's when I'm recording this podcast, the day before you're listening to it. Out of McGill University. I've known about McGill University and the amazing work they do there. And that's why I love the PhDs and scientists and all these people that do this amazing work that I get to then bring to you, right? Because I'm not one of those people doing that work. I extrapolate the data and the information that they provide. I see how it works in the real world, and then I try to bring that to you. And so McGill University is something that in the fitness industry we've known about for decades, and that's because they've been doing so much great work in terms of exercise. So I've actually spoken about McGill University quite a number of times. But in a recent study they did, this was actually, now it can be used for anybody, so I want you to know that, but what they're using it for now that they know this, is a lot with stroke-based victims. And so what they're doing is asking someone to perform some type of new task. So think about walking on a tightrope, okay? Or think about standing on one leg, or doing a really difficult yoga or Pilates or Olympic lift. Or let's say you have a child that's into gymnastics or martial arts, which I love. Any one of those things. So think about anything new. That's all it has to be is new. It could even be learning something, like reading a book. Honestly, I bet that this could translate over to reading new information. After you read that new information, go for a 15-minute run or a 15-minute workout. Now, they're just saying get on an exercise bike. They're saying do something. Do it somewhat intense, do it for 15 minutes, and then you are going to be able to recall that task better, and you're going to be able to do that task more efficiently the next time that you do it. So the study it was an excellent study. It was done really, really well. And what they found was is that they believe, again, this is a hypothesis. Now, it's not hypothesis, it did work. But the hypothesis is that your brain figures out and categorizes all the different motor units or all the different neural connections. And all that means is basically how everything fires in your brain and moves down the spinal cord and comes off of that and innervates all the muscles. And so what it's saying is it becomes more efficient at that when you went for 15 minutes of exercise after it. Because what they did was they also measured neural activity in the brain after that 15 minutes of exercise. And what they found is the brain was actually more at rest. So it had already categorized and already kind of placed all these different things that it learned in all the different folders, we'll say, in the brain, right? We don't exactly know how that works, but it compartmentalized that. And so what if I was the brain was actually more relaxed after that 15 minutes. And when people returned to the task a day later, they were better at it, meaning their score went up. And this is easy to scientifically prove. So I found this to be amazing data. I think that a lot of people listening to this, they're going for a certification. They're maybe in school studying. They're a mom or a dad doing additional study to maybe do a second career, or they're learning something new at work, or you're out there doing new exercise and you want to get better at it. Anything that you're doing, after you're done doing it, go out for a 15-minute jog, go out for a 15-minute bike ride, do some body weight exercises, some mountain climbers, whatever you want to do, and see if you don't retain those skills to a greater degree. I think a lot of people know, like kind of instinctually, after they've been studying for a while, like, I just need to get outside. I just need to go for a walk, right? A lot of us have said that before. I've certainly said it. Or I need to just get out there and clear my head and go for a jog. Like, I literally say that. I need to go clear my head. Well, now science is proving that it's able to better than categorize everything you're learning and be able for you to retain it better. So love that type of research. All right, moving on. So product reviews, I'm usually always positive. You know that I am always promoting different things, whether it's food-based, supplement-based. And I'm not going to name names. I never name names. I don't do that. I don't believe that it's right. And I'm also always open to changing my mind in the future. But what we have to be careful of is, taking a genetic test. And then based on the genetic test is we start supplementing with things that our body may or may not need. So a genetic test is understanding what your genotype is. That's basically who you are from a genetic standpoint. But you don't use supplements necessarily, not always, there are exceptions. You don't use supplements necessarily based on your genotype of how you were born. You do it based on your phenotype, okay? Because based on your genotype, you want to start eating certain foods and you want to start eating a certain macros. But what you don't do is you don't supplement necessarily unless you need that supplement. Meaning, like, if you have methylation-based issues, well, you very well may need additional B vitamins, and you might need the methylated form, of course, right? That makes sense. Or if you're genetically prone to more higher levels of CRP or homocysteine, you might need more vitamin E, right? D-alpha-tocopherol, the tocotrienols. You might need, again, more of that B6, B12, and folate, nature folate or methylfolate. So you might need all of those things, but you don't supplement with them necessarily. Again, you can always use a daily activated multivitamin and a daily nutritional support shake, something like that as an overall fail-safe. But you don't do the mega doses in something like a Thorne methyl guard for if you have high homocysteine, unless you do blood work or a functional medicine lab test that tells you your markers are off. So again, I'm not coming down on anyone, but a genetic test does not tell you automatically what you need to supplement with. It doesn't say that. What it says is that you're prone to potentially higher levels of CRP, higher levels of homocysteine, higher levels of LDL, lower levels of HDL, that you could potentially have issues with phase 1 detox or phase 2 detoxification, right? So here's the thing. Great. I mean, genetic testing is amazing. It's amazing. And I'll link it up today for the genetic test that we recommend. Because again, it's a medical-based one. It's a wellness one. It's not just like my great aunt came from Nova Scotia, like, wherever, like, all that's fun, but you shouldn't do it's not an all for one, like do a wellness based one or do an ancestry one. Don't do one that's trying to do it like everything all at once. But let me get back on track. So what I'm saying is then after you do your genetics and know what it is, like, you need to know that, sure. And I totally agree. But really what we do in our practice is we help people get well first, and then we look at genetics from an anti-aging perspective because we already know what the functional medicine labs are, which are with the gut function, the organic acids, the stool test. We look at the omega-3s. We're looking at the hair tissue mineral analysis for heavy metals, electrolytes, for all the mineral levels. We're looking at their vitamins on the organic acids test. And we're doing like a thyroid adrenal hormone test to look at their hormones. We get everything balanced. And then we look at genetics to say, okay, yeah, in the future, this is what possibly you need to watch out for because we're working on living longer, stronger. So what I'm saying is this, is that you use nutritional supplements beyond like what I call the Dr. Ball Daily Protocol, which is your daily nutritional support shake, your daily probiotic support, your daily fruit and vegetable blend, which is 22 organic fruits and vegetables that have been juiced, so it's easy to digest. There's no real fiber to it. It's very, very simple, right? So like those are just your feel-safe. It just gives you all of the best of functional medicine and natural food all to start your day. It's a great way to start your day. But after that, when you use nutritional supplements, it's based on typically an imbalance. So for example, I'm someone that just suffers from, I don't suffer from anything. Let me rephrase that. I'm someone that will always be a little bit more prone to higher levels of histamines because I have something in the past called mastocytosis. So I say, okay, no big deal. I got rid of that. I fixed my allergies. I fixed all the inflammation, the headaches every day in the afternoon, like all of that. But I continue then to use vitamin C on a daily basis. And I use what's called the full spectrum vitamin C. And when I start to get run down or when I travel, I take the alkalizing vitamin C because it's a higher dosage of vitamin C for my body. So I do that. I do other things as well. Like I use a certain type of omega-3 support. So I do those things for my body because I know it helps keep it balanced, because when I don't do it, well, then I start to get imbalanced. So what I'm saying for you is begin to learn your body, and your genetics is only one part to that. I'm happy to talk more about this in the future. Let me know. if this is helpful or if I just totally confused you, because that's not what I intend to do. All right, I want to move on. I want to get to our super nutrient of the week. I'm actually excited to bring you this one. And the reason is that a lot of people haven't heard of it. And I want to bring you things as well, besides all the vitamins that I love to talk about. But, I said in 2018, every Friday, I'm going to bring you a new super nutrient of the week. And this week, it's on an herb. It's on a plant that has a really great name to it. It's called stinging nettles. And it's, how did it get its name, stinging nettles? Well, when you walk by this type of plant, it's basically a heart-shaped leaf. And on the heart-shaped leaf, it has these little hair-like structures. And those hair-like structures, if they rub up against you, can actually cause a reaction. It can cause some burning. It can cause some pain. And that's because within those hairline structures, and this is the secret to the herb itself, is that it actually contains chemicals such as serotonin, histamines, and acetylcholine, which can be irritating to the skin or the body itself as they start to get into it. Now, knowing that, though, you can say, okay, the stinging nettle plant contains serotonin. Oh, okay, well, this is how I look at it. This is how I look at it from just like that science-based mind that I try to look at it at. So, like, I love herbalism, but I'm also like, well, I want to know the methodology and the pathophysiology in terms of how a plant works to heal the body, right? It's like the reverse pathophysiology of how we get sick. So when I say, well, how does it work? And I say, okay, well, it contains serotonin. I'm like, all right, well, what do I know about serotonin? I'm like, all right, serotonin is that happy, that feel-good neurotransmitter. It's also something that helps to dilate and relax the body, right? And then I look at histamines. I'm like, okay, well, histamines, that's interesting because histamines actually almost have a different effect. They have more of an inflaming type effect, but not with the plant. So that's why I want to explain this. So I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, how do those chemical cytokines work within the body? And then I look at acetylcholine, and I look at acetylcholine as something that's actually more of not necessarily a stimulant, but works with brain-based function and works with opening up different passageways as its own neurotransmitter. So as I'm looking at these specific things, I'm saying, okay, now what has it been clinically shown to work with? And right off the bat, it's been shown to work with allergies. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. So I always say to myself, well, that doesn't make any sense. But I always keep my mind open. That's the problem with a lot of us in the fitness industry, and I was there myself, is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It can't work because it contains histamines. And hay fever and allergies and sometimes asthma and skin rashes are based on histamines. So I look at that and I say, all right, this is interesting, but like, how does it work? Because I'm willing to keep my mind open to it. So there's a couple different theories. And so we know that it works. We know that it works because it's scientifically validated to work. But one is that some allergic reactions are actually based on low plasma levels of histamines. So maybe adding something with more histamines could help with that. Okay, that's only one theory. There's another theory that when you add more histamines to the body and your body's full of histamines, now you wake up the body to begin to, I want to use the word disintegrate, but it's actually to mobilize things like diamine oxidase and your own natural enzymes to degrade, not disintegrate, degrade is the word I'm looking for, the histamines in your body. And that makes a lot of sense because if we look at it from a homeopathy standpoint, we'd say, well, that like cures like, right? Like we put in a little bit extra of the histamine. Our body says, oh, okay. And then it goes to work on mobilizing the enzymes and other proteins and factors to degrade current histamines in the body. So that's another theory. And the third theory is that the allergy or the allergic reaction has nothing to do with histamines at all. And it actually has to do with other chemical messengers. And I've spoken about this before on a previous podcast. I want to see if I can get that for you by the end of the show. Is that if you had allergies like me, so my allergies were so severe that, and they were year round, but they were so severe during the spring that I had to take off up to 2 weeks of work every single year because I could not leave the house because my eyes were literally swollen shut. Now, at that time, I was doing everything I could from somewhat a natural perspective, but from every perspective. I was taking massive amounts of Benadryl. This was maybe 6-7 years ago. And I'm taking enough Benadryl to basically put down a horse, right? Like literally to put that horse to sleep, and it would have no effect on my allergies. And I'm like, but I'm taking powerful antihistamines. How is this possible? And it's because my histamine level, although high, was not the main culprit for my allergies. It was actually, if you listen to the podcast, it was something called leukotrienes. It was another chemical another inflammatory chemical beyond that. So maybe when we're using these stinging nettles, we're actually because they're an anti-inflammatory, we're working on other mechanisms by which allergies manifest themselves. And that's what I found. And nettles absolutely do work for myself as well. Okay, I spoke more about this on podcast number 860, The Hidden Cause Behind Inflammation. So check that out. And then I did a follow-up 2 weeks later, I believe, 3 weeks later on episode 879 on the foods that actually cause high histamine levels. So check that out, StephenCabral.com/860. And then follow up to that is on 879 with the food list. So basically what I want to say is this, because I want to go through a few of these, is that nettles can be really powerful for allergies, and they can be really powerful for hay fever, and skin rashes, anything that's an allergic-based response, because there's multiple mechanisms by which it can work. Right now, we'll call it more idiopathic. The same exact thing is that they're anti-inflammatory, so they're being used quite a bit with arthritis-based treatment. I talked about it before with osteoarthritis, more inflammation based on bone, we'll say, but really in rheumatoid arthritis. So nice little study published in the Journal of Rheumatology showing that stinging nettles are powerful anti-inflammatory and work quite well in rheumatoid arthritis. So how do they work? Well, they work by the same mechanisms as a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, an NSAID, like Advil or ibuprofen. So if you get relief from taking Advil or ibuprofen, and you know obviously that they're not healthy for you, especially since they do harm the gut, they do increase permeability in the gut wall, which can lead to even more autoimmune issues, and they do wipe out a lot of that good flora, well, you could switch to something more natural, such as bromelain and stinging nettles and vitamin C and a lot of these other things that work tremendously well. All right, another big one, and this is where stinging nettles is honestly seeming to shine, and that's in prostate-based issues. Okay, so a lot of men, prostate-based issues, especially as they're getting into their 50s or 60s or whatever it might be. And what we're looking at as, we'll call it benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, that there's poor urinary flow. And so, these are major issues for guys as well. And again, this works as an anti-inflammatory for anyone, but specifically with the prostate. So one of the things that we did is with our, again, and you can use, I'm going to talk about the product that I formulated called Advanced Prostate Support. But again, you can use any one that you want. We know that stinging nettles works so great for the prostate because, again, it's clinically proven, and these are very easy things to look up. It works for bladder infections for both men and women, but so well for BPH that we added it to things that we already know work great, which are saw palmetto and pygeum. So pygeum bark, I don't think that I'm going to make that a Friday review because it's so great for cardiovascular and so great for the prostate, but I usually use it just for those two. We add it to zinc and we add it to selenium and copper. These things work so great for the prostate. We get such great results with that of course, I want to talk about that with you. But one of the reasons that it works so well is that you're working from different mechanisms. So the saw palmetto is helping so much with the conversion from testosterone to DHT, and the nettles is working so well as an anti-inflammatory that the two work great in conjunction with each other. So one of the best things I can teach you really about natural health is understanding that you don't have to pick a favorite herb, a favorite vitamin, a favorite whatever, a favorite food, right? There's people ask me all the time, how are you not using this in your practice? I'm like, because there's so many great things to use, right? And so understand that stinging nettles, that's what I'm trying to teach you on all of the different super nutrient of the week, is that they can all be great. You have to know when to use it, when basically, and with who. So if you're suffering from an inflammatory condition, such as rheumatoid arthritis, if you have eczema, if you have psoriasis, if you have allergies or hay fever, or you have urinary tract infections, I should say bladder infections, or you have prostate-based inflammation, using something like stinging nettles can be absolutely fantastic. So what I do, just for myself, I use Hispro, and I'll link all these up. It's HISTPRO by Equilibrium Nutrition, Hispro. Amazing for allergies, really, really amazing. Advanced Prostate Support has stinging nettles, really fantastic as well. And again, anyone suffering with any of those histamine-based issues can use something such as a higher dose vitamin C, like the alkalizing vitamin C. So I'd love to do follow-ups. I'd love to answer additional questions on this. If you do have any additional questions, best place to ask those are right over at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our free Facebook group. We'd love to be able to help you out in any way that we can. And of course, every day I post a short snippet of the podcast to Instagram. If you have some feedback, I would take it right there. And of course, I would be happy to respond that day if you do leave a comment. Thank you so much for tuning into another podcast, another Cabral concept. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for the shares. Thank you for the follows. Really do appreciate it. And stay tuned tomorrow for our first Cabral house call of the weekend, where we answer our community's questions each and every Saturday and Sunday. Take care. Have an amazing weekend. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.